stretching from the storied Willamette Falls to the iconic Mount Hood territory and down to the rugged Table Rock wilderness, Clackamas County offers some of the most dynamic environments in the country. And when it comes to fishing, Clackamas County stands apart with a variety of diverse adventures packed into an easily accessible landscape. Seemingly endless amounts of serene alpine lakes and reservoirs lay in wait to be discovered. Snow-fed rivers like the Clackamas, Sandy, and Willamette give anglers the opportunity to experience some of the best migrations in the region, although you may have some competition. From tranquil shores, sturdy docks, and boats of all varieties, fishing in Clackamas County is a year-round experience that can be whatever you make of it.
The unique thing about Clackamas County and its fish populations is that we've got fish around 12 months of the year. People can essentially go fishing for one species of fish or another 365 days, and that's very unique, even in the Pacific Northwest, to say that you can go fishing just about any day and catch something. In the Willamette River, you have opportunities for all of the salmon and steelhead species as well as warm water fish that are present year-round. The Willamette River gets a little bit better for warm water fish when the water warms up in the summer. When it's cool during the winter, it's best for coho in the fall, steelhead in the winter, and spring chinook in the springtime. In most places locally, you can only catch and harvest fish that have a missing adipose fin. That's the fin on their back between the large dorsal fin and tail fin. We clip those off of our hatchery fish to uniquely identify them as hatchery fish. And it gives a person an opportunity to take that fish home, and then if they catch a wild fish, they can say, good things about it and put it back in the river.
From the Clackamas and Willamette to the Sandy and Molalla rivers, gaining access to these fisheries is as easy as a trip to the park. Whether it's county, state, or national, getting to and on the rivers has never been easier.
Many of the parks in the county provide excellent opportunities for anglers to get access to our rivers. Pretty much every park has a boat launch where people can access the river and get in and get out.
Naturally, your luck can change with the seasons, so to give yourself an added advantage, knowing migrations of certain species like the coho, chinook, or steelhead peak can make all the difference in what you catch.
The best times to fish are when these fish are migrating through the area, returning to either our hatchery or to their native stream to spawn. And those are specific times of the year, like spring, when spring chinook are returning, or this coming fall, when fall chinook and coho will be returning en masse. Those are great times to go fishing, but again, in Clackamas County, there's fish pretty much 12 months of the year that you could find one way or the other.
For those looking for a more immersive experience out on the rivers, there are guides available to take anglers out into the watershed. But before you head out on your next adventure, it's important to know the rules and regulations for fishing in Clackamas County. Anyone over the age of 14 requires a fishing license. And if you plan to go after steelhead or salmon, a harvest tag is required to take those fish home. But once you've got your ducks in a row, the opportunities are endless.
I wanted to be a guide ever since I was a kid, but Mom and Dad said I had to get a real job. So I spent 25 years in printing graphic arts business, and then at the age of 50, my wife said, well, if this is what you want to do, then, so I quit the graphic arts business. At the age of 50, I started this full time. 32, right on. The thing about fly fishing is you'll never get bored. Okay, there's always something to learn. Essentially what it amounts to is there's fishermen, and then there's real fishermen, okay? My neighbor told me, he says, Ronnie, 10% of the fishermen catch 90% of the fish. Okay. So I decided I wanted to be one of those 10% that caught 90% of the fish. Okay, so to do that, you have to invest time in it.
Contrary to popular belief, one of the first things you need to decide when beginning fly fishing is what kind of fly line you need, because the fly line is what makes the rod bend properly. and also dictates the size of flies you'll be able to cast.
You actually suit the length of the rod and the weight of the line for the size of fish that you're pursuing, and also the diameter of the line or the weight of the fly line helps determine the size of fly that you're going to cast.
By adjusting the fly line with lines of differing thicknesses and weight, it gives the angler better control of the line, which in theory improves casting. For most beginners considering the right rod, the 9-foot standard fly rod is all you'd ever need, unless you plan to take on a more specialized approach. But even then, certain rods have a bend or action that can be geared to suit the strategy of its caster.
If I match the action of the fly rod up with a person's personality, they will learn quicker. It's very important that you understand to have the right kind of fly rod to match how you think about doing things.
One thing that can greatly affect your fishing experience is where you choose to set up shop. But once you have your gear in check and boat in the water, it's time to find the right spot. Now that we have a grip on the fly rod basics, it's time to get a hold of the cast. And in fly fishing, the technique becomes all the more important if you ever hope to catch a fish without scaring them off first.
You don't want to do like so many fly fishermen do, okay? Fly fishermen come up the river and they make their cast like this, and they walk out to the river and, oh, it's so much fun. I got my new waders and I'm getting out and I'm going to go fishing, and that's what you don't want to do. So I like to teach about aerializing the fly, and essentially I call that a presentation roll cast. So a presentation roll cast looks like this. Hold the middle of the handle with 3 fingers and the thumbs up on top of the handle is what it amounts to. So then we want to have what you call line management. So what we're going to do is we're going to retrieve the line behind the hand that holds the rod. You wiggle the line out by essentially having the tip lower than the reel. See how I move back and forth and the line goes out as opposed to whipping it? The tip's in the water, there's a lift, and then there's a tilt, and we tilt because the line is away from us. The rod is lifted up. Now, do you see how the tip is back like a catapult from medieval times? See the angle it is? When it's back like this, it can launch the line out. So the first thing we do is we very slowly bring the rod down, okay? And then we rest the elbow against our body. I hold the rod like that. Now watch when I squeeze the little finger, the next one, and that one. Watch how the line goes out. It's dropped, squeeze. See it launch it? Lift, tilt, slide it back. It drops down, slow, medium, pop. Let's go up and see if we can hook up a fish. So what fly fishing really is, it's an art and it's a science. The art is the cast and the science is being observant with aquatic insects and matching the hat. There he is. Fish on. I don't know how big it is, but there's your first fish.
Throughout the nearly 2,000 square miles of awe-inspiring terrain present in Clackamas County, you can find a quiet piece of shore and tranquil water to get lost in and catch a variety of warm water fish as well as the thousands of trout that are stocked in most every lake. The initiative taken by ODFW to maintain fish populations throughout the region is staggering, and even involves stocking by helicopter at some of the more remote areas.
There are lakes all the way from the valley floor. Many of them are occupied by warm water fish because they simply get too warm for trout. Then there's our mid-elevation lakes and reservoirs where we have large bodies of water that we stock with trout for people to catch, and we stock them in the springtime for fisheries that last throughout the summer months. We also have high lakes in the Cascades that are in the 3,000 to 5,000 foot elevation range that we stock with trout, very, very small trout, actually, that grow to size over about a year or so. And they provide a great opportunity for people to go and hike into lakes that they can catch fish without a lot of crowd.
Harriet Lake, a little-known reservoir located near the Oak Grove Fork of the Clackamas River, meanders at around 2,000 feet and resides within the Mount Hood National Forest boundary. Boxed in by steep slopes, this 22-acre canyon lake boasts the kind of clarity and pristine nature that is synonymous with Oregon's Cascade Mountain Range. And below the surface, an arguably magical environment lies locked in calm wonder, broken only by passing fish and swimmers brave enough to battle the bitterly cold temperatures. Just shy of a 2-hour drive from downtown Portland and a little over an hour from Oregon City, Harriet Lake lies only slightly off the beaten path. Yet it retains its lone standing with mild to heavy traffic from week to weekend. As part of its main draw, Harriet Lake allows boating of all varieties kept to under 15 miles per hour, and there's plenty of bank access to fish from the shore or docks, too. More still, Harriet Lake is thoroughly stocked with a variety of trout from April to August, even offering up trophy-sized fish for those persistent enough to beat out the birds at their own game. Even then, if you can't fit all of your angling and adventuring in over the course of one weekend, you can rest assured that Harriet Lake won't lose its charm anytime soon. And once you visit, it becomes pretty clear that you'll be back the next chance you get. Despite which way you take on the approach to Timothy Lake, the road ahead is greeted with sprawling vistas and mesmerizing pockets of life. Either way you choose, taking the road less traveled in the Mount Hood wilderness all but guarantees crossing paths with a couple of critters and possibly even falling rocks. So it's important to have your wits about you. This serves both your sense of wonder and safety. As one of the largest and most popular man-made lakes in the region, Timothy Lake has earned its keep in terms of the multitude of things to do, see, and experience, like hike, bike, camp, paddleboard, kayak, and canoe. On top of a 13-mile full-loop trail around the lake for hikers and bikers to enjoy, Timothy Lake also connects into the renowned Pacific Crest Trail system and maintains 10 camping areas for outdoor enthusiasts to rest and replenish. Timothy Lake remains a welcome result of the construction of the hydroelectric dam that was established by Portland General Electric in 1956. Timothy Lake stands today as one of the richest fisheries in the county, where thousands of rainbow trout are regularly stocked during the spring and early summer months. Reproducing populations of brook trout and schools of kokanee, as well as native cutthroat trout, call out like a siren to any eager angler yearning for a fresh fish to catch and cook back at camp.
If you're still going to keep fishing, you want to keep them alive, because if you kill them right away, then you have to keep them cold. Otherwise, meat won't taste as good. A lot of times people pack butter and herbs on the inside, you know.
that tastes like trout to me. That's like what.
Appearing as only a hop, skip, and a jump from the peak of Mount Hood, the picturesque Trillium Lake reflects the best of what's around, and as a result, is one of the most popular destinations in the vicinity. Just past the humble town of Government Camp, the 63-acre Trillium Lake allows for everything an adventure could require. Nearby attractions like the Timberline Lodge beckon the offshoot, while a 2-mile trail that traverses the lake's circumference takes you full circle to the dozens of tent and RV campsites. On top of that, warm water fish also lurk in Trillium's tea-colored depths, adding a sense of mystery and diversity to your fishing experience. Crappie, bass, walleye, and even catfish call the murky waters beneath the lily pads home. More still, Trillium Lake is stocked with around 4,500 rainbow trout, as well as trophy-sized keepers. That doubles the sense of accomplishment when pulled from below the waters of that gorgeously reflected peak of Mount Hood. All in all, there's something for everyone to enjoy at Trillium Lake, as it offers secluded and exceptional views without getting too deep into the woods, which in turn makes Trillium Lake the perfect location for family outings, while giving its visitors a beautiful break from the hustle and bustle of city living. For those seeking to get thoroughly off the grid, Buck Lake is one location that wastes no time enchanting you with its otherworldly presence. The bluest of hues tint its crystal clear waters, while steep crater slopes provide a backdrop that gives onlookers the fullest sense of distinguished peace and quiet. At the water's edge, mayflies and dragonflies burst into life, depending on the time of year, and dance upon the surface in what seems like coordinated tangos. Below that, spotted newts scurry and squirm about in an intimidating but harmless fashion. And at its deepest depths, unknown quantities of fish await. But it's important to keep in mind that if you plan on boating, there's a half-mile trail uphill from the parking lot to get to the lake's shores. Just a few miles past the sleepy town of Estacada, North Fork Reservoir tucks itself in among the prominent foothills of the Cascade Range. As a favored destination due to its generous trout stocking schedule and easy access from Clackamas Highway 224, North Fork Reservoir is a quiet surprise to many that come across its shores. With plenty of room to spare for both boaters and anglers around this 350-acre reservoir, North Fork is a great place to gain a foothold on the region that the multitude of hiking and camping areas in close proximity allude to. As an additional perk, North Fork does not require a parking or day-use pass to access its waters, although there is a daily limit on how many trout you can take home. Given the humbling backdrop and variety of activities to delve into, it's easy to grasp why North Fork Reservoir has become a preferred getaway for family excursions, as well as the more dedicated anglers out there. No matter which direction you go, you can easily reach popular hotspots like Timopy Lake, little-known gems like Harriet Lake, and remote escapes like Buck Lake to fish, boat, camp, experience, and to simply enjoy the inherent draw Clackamas County has within its diverse landscapes. Adding to that, the quality of opportunities ODFW creates for visitors when it comes to recreation and wildlife, it becomes rather obvious why nearly 2.5 million visitors flock to the Mount Hood National Forest area each year. So what are you waiting for?